We're live from New Delhi. You're watching TD India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. U.S. Senate inching towards vote on Donald Trump's spending bill. Many Republicans remain divided over the proposal, which would deliver key parts of Trump's domestic agenda while making massive cuts to social welfare programs. In Serbia, thousands of protesters continue to block major roads in Belgrade and other cities, demanding end to President Aleksandar Vucic's 12-year rule and snap elections. 2 firefighters shot dead with a high-powered rifle after responding to a brush fire in Idaho, U.S. Suspect found dead. Area continues to report active wildfire. Wildfire risks as climate change fuels extreme heat wave in southern Europe. Italy, Greece, Spain and Portugal remain most affected. Most of France placed under heat wave alert. Ayush Shetty ends India's BWF title drought in 2025, winning his first World Tour title. Lifts the US Open Super 300 with solid straight games win over Canada's Brian Yang. And on to the details now. U.S. lawmakers are debating President Donald Trump's big, beautiful bill on the Senate floor as part of a marathon process. The U.S. Senate narrowly advanced President Donald Trump's sweeping tax cut and spending bill on Saturday during a weekend session marked by political drama, division and lengthy delays as Democrats sought to slow the legislation's path to passage. Lawmakers voted 51 to 49 to open debate on the 940-page mega bill, with 2 of Trump's fellow Republicans joining Democrats to oppose the legislation. Trump is heaping pressure on Congress to pass the sweeping tax cuts and spending package in time for him to sign it on July 4th. That would fund the president's top immigration, border, tax cut and military priorities. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said on Sunday that Israel's 12-day war with Iran ending June 24th opened opportunities to free 50 hostages held by Hamas in Gaza since October 7, 2023. A Jerusalem court delayed his corruption trial testimony, citing diplomatic reasons, fueling speculation of progress in Gaza talks. Israeli military chief Eyal Zamir suggested that Iran conflict could advance objectives against Hamas. Netanyahu prioritized hostage release as per the Hostages and Missing Families Forum. U.S. proposed ceasefire talks continue. However, Hamas demands a full Israeli withdrawal, while Israel insists on dismantling Hamas. And Israel's Netanyahu on Sunday spoke to Israel's Shin Bet intelligence service alongside its new temporary head following Ronen Bar's June 15th resignation amid government efforts to remove him. Netanyahu hailed the elimination of 2 deadly threats to Israel's survival, referring to the recent 12-day war with Iran.
I want to inform you that many opportunities have now opened up, as you surely know, following this victory. First and foremost, to rescue the hostages. Of course, we will also need to resolve the issue of Gaza to defeat Hamas, but I believe we will achieve both missions. Beyond that, broad regional opportunities are opening up, in most of which, almost all, you are partners.
Well, the Jerusalem District Court cancelled Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial hearings this week, accepting his request, citing classified diplomatic and security grounds. The decision followed U.S. President Donald Trump's social media post suggesting the trial could hinder Netanyahu's negotiations with Hamas and Iran. Netanyahu, indicted in 2019 for bribery, fraud and breach of trust, denies the charges, calling them a left-wing witch hunt. Trump claimed a Gaza ceasefire is near, though details remain unclear. The ruling aligns with heightened efforts to resolve the Gaza conflict post-Iran war. And U.S. President Donald Trump criticized Israeli prosecutors over Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's corruption trial, calling it insanity that hampers talks with Hamas and Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump lashed out at prosecutors in Israel, saying Washington, having given billions of dollars worth of aid to Israel, was not going to stand for this. Netanyahu retweeted Trump's Truth Social post, thanking him. Trump claimed a Gaza ceasefire is near, though details are scarce, amid heightened focus post-U.S.-Israeli strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. And Israel has ordered Palestinians to evacuate from parts of northern Gaza ahead of increased military action as U.S. President Donald Trump pushes for a ceasefire deal. In fact, people in neighborhoods across Gaza City and Jabalia have been told to move south towards the coastal area of Al-Mawasi as Israeli military operations intensify and expand westward. Trump has reiterated calls to make the deal in Gaza and to get the hostages back. On Saturday, Trump had said on Truth Social that Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was in the process of negotiating a deal with Hamas right now. Meanwhile, the Israel Defense Forces spokesman Avichai Adrai said on Sunday that the Israeli military was operating in North Gaza to eliminate terrorist and terrorist infrastructure. And moving on, thousands of protesters blocked major roads in Belgrade and other Serbian cities as demonstrations calling for snap elections continued into a second night following Saturday's huge rally in the capital. On Saturday, over 1 lakh people rallied in central Belgrade, the latest gathering in over half a year of demonstrations, triggered by the collapse of a train station roof in the city of Novi Sad in November, killing 16 people in a disaster widely blamed on shoddy construction resulting from entrenched corruption. Clashes with the police ended with dozens of arrests as riot officers used tear gas and batons to attempt to disperse a crowd that also threw bottles and flares. Early on Sunday, President Alexander Vučić remained defiant against protesters' demands for early elections, accusing the student-led movement of causing terror. Well, a strange incident was reported from the northwestern U.S. state of Idaho, where a gunman ambushed and shot dead 2 firefighters responding to a forest fire. The motive for the shooting was not known, and police did not provide any details on the suspect, saying officers were still working to identify the slain man. The suspect was found using cell phone location information, and his body was removed by a SWAT team as the fire approached. Well, the bushfire is still burning in the city of around 56,000 people, which is near the border with Washington state. And former Brazilian President Jair Bolsonaro drew hundreds on Sunday to Sao Paulo's main avenue in a rally to drum up support ahead of a judicial case pending in the Supreme Court for coup charges. A trial over his involvement in an alleged coup plot to secure the presidency in the 2022 elections is reaching its final stages in the Supreme Court. According to Brazilian media, testimonies and defendants have already declared, and it will now be the turn for the prosecutor's office to present its final allegations. During his speech, Bolsonaro mentioned his trip to the U.S. in December 2022 to dodge President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva's inauguration on January 1, 2023 in Brasilia. The riots took place on January 8 at the same location. Well, jurors on Monday will begin deliberating whether Sean Diddy Combs paralyzed his celebrity wealth and business empire into a decades-long criminal ring that saw him force women into dual drug-fueled sexual performances with escorts. Combs faces upwards of life in prison if convicted on 5 federal charges. On Friday, his lawyer vowed to skewer the credibility of his accusers, namely 2 women he dated for years, saying they were out for money while rejecting any notion he led a criminal ring. But in their final argument, prosecutors tore into the defense, saying Combs' team had contorted the facts endlessly. And the verdict in mushroom murder trial could come as early as today. The triple murder trial of Australian Erin Patterson revolves around an innocuous-looking mushroom with a slightly sweet smell and a sinister name. Patterson is accused of killing her husband's parents and aunt in 2023 by lacing their beef Wellington lunch with highly toxic death cap mushrooms. Though the 50-year-old has tenuously denied the charges, saying their hearty meal was contaminated by accident. And let us now get you an infographic explainer on death cap mushroom, the deadliest fungus known to humans. Eating even a small amount of this mushroom can kill a person. Southern Europe is under an unrelenting heat dome with temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius in many places. The mercury is expected to rise further in the coming days. Fires have also broken out in France and Turkey, while Spain, Portugal and Italy have been placed on heat wave alert.
Southern Europe is experiencing severe wildfires amid a heat wave that has been intensifying across the region. Almost entire France seems to be reeling. Wildfires have spread across the southwest part of the nation, prompting precautionary evacuations. French Weather Service has also issued an orange heatwave alert for 84 out of France's 101 regional departments for Monday. Further south, in Turkey, forest fires broke out on Sunday afternoon in the western Izmir province, led by strong winds. Firefighters, backed by specially adapted planes, were battling the blaze, but 5 neighborhoods in the Seferi Hisar district had to be evacuated. Spain, Italy, Greece, Portugal, and the UK are also experiencing extreme temperatures. As Spain's Seville hosts United Nations' 4th International Conference on Financing for Development on Monday, the temperatures have soared to 48 degrees Celsius. Spain's National Weather Agency has also issued orange alert indicating high risk. In Italy, 21 cities were on high alert for extreme heat. Hospital emergency departments across the nation have reported a 10% increase in heat stroke cases. Several areas in the southern half of Portugal, including Lisbon, are also under a red warning until Monday. Meanwhile, in London, temperatures have risen above 30 degrees Celsius, a figure that is about 10 degrees above the average. According to the scientists, climate change is a major reason for intense heat wave, particularly in the cities where the so-called urban heat island effect amplifies temperatures among tightly packed buildings. Experts have also warned of biodiversity being heavily impacted as a result of worsening climate change situation. Bureau Report, Diddy, India.
Meanwhile, Morocco is also experiencing a severe heat wave with temperatures breaking monthly records in many regions. The National Meteorological Office reported temperatures exceeding seasonal norms by up to 20 degrees Celsius in some areas. Inland cities, Marrakesh, Fez, Meknes and Beni Mellal experienced heat 8 to 15 degrees Celsius above the normal. The heat wave is expected to continue in the interiors of Morocco due to a Saharan thermal depression. Meanwhile, heavy rains in Venezuela's Andean region have caused widespread destruction with 103 houses destroyed. Over 8,450 families isolated and 25 bridges collapsed. Livelihoods have been heavily impacted due to crop losses. The affected areas include several villages in the Merida mountain range. No fatalities have been reported according to local government officials. And rescue and relief efforts are underway this weekend across South and Southwest China's provincial level regions, which continue to bear the brunt of widespread flooding triggered by recent heavy downpours. In South China's Guangxi Zhuang Autonomous Region, water levels have receded below warning marks, allowing clean-up crews to begin clearing sludge. At the flood's peak, water reached 150.67 meters, almost around 4.57 meters above the danger level. In Gunzhou province, firefighters have been working to evacuate trapped residents, retrieve submerged vehicles and drain waterlogged areas. Notably, Rongjiang, hit by severe rainstorms since June 24th, remains one of the worst affected regions. And a UN conference aiming to rally fresh support for development aid begins in Spain today, with the sector in crisis as US-led funding cuts jeopardize the fight against poverty. The conference aims to address growing gap in development finance, and reforms of international finance to help poorer countries are also on agenda. And at least 50 world leaders, including French President Emmanuel Macron, Kenya's William Ruto, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen and UN head Antonio Guterres will gather in Seville from June 30th to July 3rd. But key player, the United States, is snubbing the biggest such talks in a decade, underlining the erosion of international cooperation on combating hunger, disease and climate change. More than 4,000 representatives from businesses, civil society and financial institutions will also attend the 4th International Conference on Financing for Development. Talks in New York in June produced a common declaration to be adopted in Seville. The text calls on development banks to triple their lending capacity, urges lenders to ensure predictable finance for essential social spending. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. External Affairs Minister Jay Shankar to visit US for Quad Foreign Ministers meeting from June 30th to July 2nd. IMD issues alerts for heavy rainfall and strong winds at various places all over the country. And third and oldest Grand Slam of the year, Wimbledon, begins on Monday.
Jharkhand will mesmerize you with majestic nature, rich heritage and colorful culture.
Hello. Johar.
Johar. It fits perfectly.
Thank you.
Full workout हो गया.
Ready?
Postcards from Jharkhand on National Geographic.
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Lipakshi Khurana. And moving on, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar is set to visit the United States from June 30th to July 2nd at the invitation of U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. During the visit, EM Jaishankar will participate in the next edition of the Quad Foreign Ministers meeting scheduled for 1st of July in Washington, D.C. The Quad Foreign Ministers will continue discussions from the last meeting held in Washington, D.C. on 21st of January 2025. They will exchange views on regional and global developments, particularly those concerning the Indo-Pacific, and review the progress made in various Quad initiatives in the run-up to the Quad Leaders Summit, which will be hosted by India. The ministers are also expected to deliberate on new proposals aimed at advancing the shared vision of a free and open Indo-Pacific. The minister will also travel to New York on June 30th to inaugurate an exhibition titled The Human Cost of Terrorism at the United Nations headquarters. The exhibition will highlight the devastating toll of heinous terrorist acts around the world and the steps taken by the international community to combat terrorism. And Sri Amarnath Yatra 2025 will commence on the 3rd of July. The cave is located at over 12,700 feet above sea level and contains a naturally formed ice shivling said to represent Lord Shiva. DGP Jammu and Kashmir continues to review security arrangements, asking all security agencies to take proactive and preventive measures to counter any potential threats. He emphasized strict adherence to standard operating procedures or SOPs and robust coordination among forces to ensure a peaceful and safe pilgrimage. All routes of the Yatra, including Pahalgam and Baltal axis, have been declared as a no-flying zone from July 1st to August 10th, 2025. Consequently, helicopter services for pilgrim travel shall not be available in the Yatra area. All pilgrims planning to visit the holy shrine are advised to reach on foot or avail the services of ponies and palkis throughout the Yatra. It will conclude on the 9th of August. And with the monsoons finally making its much-awaited foray into Delhi, as announced by the Indian Meteorological Department, June is set to end wetter and cooler than usual, keeping in line with the trend the previous month as Delhi recorded its wettest May historically. Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Jharkhand and West Bengal are set to receive very heavy rain. Furthermore, several districts of Gujarat have been issued an orange alert along the western coast. Heavy rainfall in the upper catchment areas of Odisha's Balasore and Mayurbhanj districts has heightened fears of a large-scale flood. Authorities have issued alerts to district collectors of these two districts to remain vigilant. Heavy rainfall is also expected in Punjab, Haryana and Chandigarh until July 2nd. The IMD issued a red alert in Uttarakhand, citing extreme rainfall, lightning and thunderstorms in the hilly state. The current monsoon season has already wreaked havoc at several places in Himachal Pradesh. Most of the districts are experiencing heavy to very heavy rains for the last 12 hours. Met Department had issued red alert for 4 districts including Kangra, Mandi, Solan and Sirmaur, where schools and educational institutions have been closed by the orders of district administration. Administration and SDRF are in a high alert as next few days are going to be challenging for the people of Himachal Pradesh. And Mizoram's capital, Aizawl, is set to receive its first ever rail connectivity with the completion of the 51.38 kilometers Bairabi-Sairang broad gauge rail line. The Bairabi-Sairang railway line in Mizoram is fully complete and awaits inauguration. Connecting Aizawl to India's rail network via Silchar, the project includes 48 tunnels and multiple bridges, marking a major boost to northeast connectivity and development. Despite facing challenging geographical conditions, the rail line has successfully connected Aizawl to the broader railway network. This project is a testament to the government's commitment to improving infrastructure in the northeastern states. And days after US President Donald Trump called off trade talks, Canada has rescinded its digital services tax targeting US technology firms in a bid to advance trade negotiations with the US. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney and Trump will resume trade negotiations in order to agree on a deal by July 21st. On Friday, Trump abruptly cut off trade talks with Canada over its tax targeting US technology firms, saying that it was a blatant attack and that he would set a new tariff rate on Canadian goods within the next week. The tax was 3% of the digital services revenue a firm takes in from Canadian users, above $20 million in a calendar year, and payments will be retroactive to 2022. Well, Canada is the second largest U.S. trading partner after Mexico and the largest buyer of U.S. exports. It bought $349.4 billion of U.S. goods last year and exported $412.7 billion to the U.S., according to U.S. Census Bureau data. And on to some sports news. India's shuttler Ayush Shetty clinched the US Open Badminton Championships title with a commanding straight games win over Brian Yang of Canada in the men's single final. The 20-year-old defeated Yang 21-18, 21-13 to cap off an impressive week. It was Shetty's maiden BWF World Tour trophy. Ayush also became the first Indian shuttler to win a tournament this season, ending the nation's wait for a men's single crown away from home since Lakshya Sen's triumph at the Canada Open in 2023. In the women's single final, Tanvi Sharma finished a runner-up after she went down fighting against top seed Beiwen Zhang of the United States. Playing her first World Tour final, the 16-year-old lost 11-21, 21-16, 10-21. And third and oldest Grand Slam of the year, Wimbledon begins on Monday. If the men's singles, French Open finalists Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner as the clear front runners, while world number 1 Aryna Sabalenka and French Open winner Coco Gauff will headline the women's lineup. 7-time champion Novak Djokovic, who has not won any Grand Slam since 2023, will also count his chance. Here's a report.
The 138th edition of the prestigious grass court Grand Slam Wimbledon Championship begins Monday. Spain's Carlos Alcaraz will bid for a third men's title in a row after beating Novak Djokovic in the past 2 finals. While Alcaraz's rival and world number 1 Jannik Sinner will hope to bounce back after losing to the Spaniard in one of the all-time great French Open finals in June.
I'm coming here thinking that, I really want to win the title. I really want to lift the trophy. Not thinking about how much players have done it, winning three or three Wimbledons in a row. I'm just thinking about, okay, I just want to be ready. I just want to prepare myself in the best way possible.
I feel good. I feel, especially mentally, I feel in a very good spot. Halle was a little bit different because before I haven't had so much time to cut that off. I feel like that I'm playing great tennis on grass, and hopefully I can show this also in the match courts.
Serbia's all-time great Novak Djokovic continues to seek a record 25th major title. Djokovic has reached the final of the last 6 Wimbledons, losing the last 2 to Spaniard Alcaraz. He has not added to his Grand Slam collection since the 2023 US Open.
I would probably agree that Wimbledon could be the best chance because of the results I had, because of how I feel, how I play in Wimbledon, just getting that extra push mentally and motivation to perform the best tennis at the highest level.
Top-ranked Aryna Sabalenka and French Open champion Coco Gauff are among the favourites for the women's title. Sabalenka, with 3 Grand Slams to her name, has yet to make the final of a Wimbledon tournament, falling in the semi-finals in 2021 and 2023. Former Wimbledon champion Alina Rybakina and American world number 2 Coco Gauff have the second and third best odds in the run-up to the grass court tournament. Gauff comes in with high confidence after securing her major French Open title, though the 21-year-old American has thus far struggled at Wimbledon, exiting in the 4th round on the 3 separate occasions. 5-time Grand Slam winner Poland's Iga Swiatek has never made it past the quarterfinals of Wimbledon, but comes in with the 4th best odds to clinch the title. The total prize money for the upcoming edition is $72.59 million, an increase of 7% from 2024. The winners of the men's and women's singles titles will each receive $4.08 million, an increase of more than 11% since 2024. Abhishek Prasad reports for DD India.
All right, that's all for this edition of DD India Live, but let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Lipakshi Khurana from all of us here in Delhi. Thanks for watching DD India Live.